Now don't get me wrong, coming into this game I thought Nottingham Forest were shaping up quite nicely for this season, but I might need to rethink where I had them in my pre-season predictions. The signing of Dan Ndoye, getting a contract extension agreed with Morgan Gibbs White, and a few other bits and pieces that were kind of around about the kind of ether, Nottingham Forest were shaping up really nicely. Before coming into the game, they've announced another 3 signings in Cali Muendo, McAtee and Hutchinson, which is just going to further underline and reinforce everything that we've seen from this game from Nottingham Forest, who took on a Brentford team that are, in my predictions, I've got them firmly as one of the favourites to be relegated this year. And I think you could see, watching this game, where Brentford are really lacking. Having lost Wissa, Mbuemo, Norgard and the change in the dugout, I just really think that this Brentford team is way too weak for the Premier League, and this was easy pickings overall for Nottingham Forest. They dominated the first half in a massive order, and Brentford weren't, they were still physical, they were still going man for man, they were still being difficult to break down or whatever. They weren't completely not at the races in that way, but I think you can just see from the quality of everything that's going on at Brentford, they have lost a little bit of their kind of Brentford kind of mystique, where never write them off because you just don't know what you're going to be in for on any given day. And they felt a little bit too one-dimensional at times, and they didn't really have anything to get themselves going. But Nottingham Forest, it may have been in stark contrast to what they were playing against, is why I'm talking about it like this, right? And I know it is a team that I would have, and a lot of people would have, in the relegation zone in the pre-season predictions. But Nottingham Forest looked proper Champions League level in the first half in this game in particular. And I'm talking about all over the pitch. Defensively, they were, although, as I say, Brentford didn't really offer too much up for the imagination, they were solid, they were composed, they won absolutely everything that was anywhere near them, and very quickly, very cleanly, were building up play very nicely. 1-2 touch stuff, which I think everyone's seen a new level. I don't want to say new level entirely, because I know he was exceptional last year, but coming into the new season, the way Elliot Anderson just controlled the midfield throughout this game was wild. And I think, when you look at so many of the midfields across the division, everyone plays 3 centre mids, and a lot of people are going for different combinations, different profiles to fill into the 3. And I sincerely think Nottingham Forest, if everyone can stay playing at the top of their game, yes, there's maybe still a little bit of room for improvement, you would say. Sangare, I know, is great, I'm a big fan of him, but I don't think he's totally, utterly convinced. A few injuries, a few suspensions, I see I've not been that close to it, so I don't want to speak about him in such glowing terms, because I'm just not totally confident on it, as it were. But a guy that I know has the minerals to really succeed at this level and has done really well, and yeah, is a good player anyway. But Elliot Anderson, Morgan Gibbs White, and I would even put Chris Wood into this. That spine through there, the way they were able to link up for all of the goals that we've seen in this game, and the real grab the game by the scruff of the neck. They were on it from the first whistle, and they just looked an extra foot taller. They ran a little bit faster. They just looked stronger. The first goal, Chris Wood has been scoring goals like that his entire career. Well organised set piece routine, and as a striker, you've just got to finish whatever chance you get that comes your way. Are you falling back on the stretch, having to try and half volley it? Are you getting a head onto it? Is it your knee? Is it your backside? Whatever. And no matter the situation, no matter how the ball falls to him, Chris Wood is just finishing. He's hitting the back of the net. And Morgan Gibbs White for the Dan Ndoye goal, the way he just peels away and he's just deciding, I'm creating space on this side of the pitch, and I know the ball that I'm going to play. That felt totally off the training ground between those two. And I did tell you guys, Nottingham Forest fans that catch the content here on the channel, that Dan Ndoye is a player that, if he performs as well as I expect him to, it won't be long before one of the teams traditionally in the top 4 or whatever come a calling for him for a big transfer fee. His work ethic, his energy was a big feature in this game. Thoroughly deserved his goal as well, and hopefully you guys really enjoyed the debut that you've seen from him. But when you add it, with this kind of core, it's great that it's in the spine, because for some teams like Newcastle, for example, when they were at their peak best in what we've seen over the last couple of years, it's been Gordon and Isak that have been on a real harmony. Tottenham, you could even say the same thing about Son and Kane. So normally right at the front end we're seeing some really good partnerships build, but for Nottingham Forest it's right through the middle, which gives them a great platform in the match to pick what side of the pitch they're going to try and attack down, with either Williams and Callum Hudson-Odoi on one side, Ola Aina and Dan Ndoye on the other. And when you've got this type of centre-back pair and this sort of defensive midfielder, they really have the minerals. They've really got everything going for them here to have an incredible season. Now, when I did worry about Nottingham Forest coming into this year is as the season winds on, because it's all well and good like playing to this level like they did at the weekend, and obviously what we've seen from them last year, but as the fixtures really do build up when you're playing every midweek in the Europa League as well, 4 games at home, 4 games away, all the way up to the end of January. We all know what the Christmas period is like anyway with other cup competitions as well as domestic football, that it might just pile on top of them, which is why I had them in, let's just call it a modest position in the Premier League predictions. And the style of football, the level of execution that they delivered here across the front lines, I think, like I said earlier, I'll need to rethink that. But now with those 3 signings that we've just added into the Nottingham Forest depth chart, on top of what we've seen play for them in this game here, they're going to be a lot better equipped now to manage the entire season. And it is against Brentford, and it is, they're at home first game of the season as well, and all the context it does need put into the game, don't get me wrong, but Nottingham Forest were the second, third top best team to watch, I think, this weekend. They were a lot of fun. Goals were all worldies. They were all fantastic, really, in their own, or maybe not the first Wood one, but in their own way, they were all really good goals. It was a good game to watch and a good contest in that regard. The player ratings from the match kind of tell their own story, don't they? It's all Nottingham Forest here, and it is all circulating around those front 4 positions there. That spine that we're talking about. Elliot Anderson coming out with an 80 out of 100 point ratio, or point score. This score is built up of decisive actions, which is like goals and assists, winning penalties, red cards, even bad ones or whatever, and then around 200 other Opta statistics based on their interactions actually in the match. It's a very good scoring matrix. I'm a big fan of it myself, and he's done absolutely everything you want from your midfielder in this game. He's winning tackles, he's winning duels, 64 accurate passes, 26 of them getting all the way into the final third. A big chance created, which obviously we've seen for Chris Wood. He got his shot on target himself, 10 balls played into the box, and he's obviously got his big chance missed in this game. Wee bit of an opportunity there for Elliot Anderson to maybe even bring in a perfect 100 out of 100 score. Big Chris Wood at it again with a double, which you love to see. And for the striker, 2 shots on goal, two goals, and he's won his dribble, obviously won his contest for the second one. Not much more you can ask for here. And Morgan Gibbs White, 6 duels won, only 3 lost. The big man was imperious on the ball. Also won a tackle and made a block for the team as well. Nice wee bit of defensive contribution. But out of 43 passes, 24 of them in the final third is incredible. He's got 9 of those balls into the box. Big chance missed for himself as well. And those 2 dribbled those one contests with his goal assist there. 72 out of 100 for MGW. And a lovely wee debut for Dan Ndoye, coming in with a 62 thanks to his goal. Statistically, I think a lot of the energy and a lot of the stuff he's been involved in this game isn't really captured, which is why you've always got an advantage over statistics if you actually watch the games. But statistics is kind of good just for highlighting key performers where people have stood out, like the guy for Brentford, for example, a last man tackle and an error led to goal, so he had a bit of a mixed day, as it were. Defensively very active, but the only player in the Brentford team that comes out with a somewhat positive rating of any kind, maybe with the goal scorer Thiago. And a shout out to Yates off the bench, by the way. In only 10 minutes, 1 possession 3 times, won 4 duels, made an interception, won a free kick as well, 5 passes, 2 of them in the final third, won a dribble and got 1 ball into the box. So good shift from him off the bench, and that's the sort of thing that, good shift from him. He had a good season last year as well, of course, but that's one of the things that you do need with depth, is you need people to come off the bench and really influence the game. And although the best 11 here for Forest looked great, the question mark would be on the depth. The bench doesn't really seem to be littered with talent until the incoming signings that we've already referenced come into the fold here. I think this game further highlights the worries and the fears I do have around Brentford having a horrible season. They just don't seem to have firepower or route to goal in them. And yeah, Forest are really at the peak of their powers, in a great position now, very, very strong and strengthening in this one as well. So a kind of worst case opponent for Brentford as well. Maybe there's still an opportunity for them to get some green shoots into their season and become a bit more competitive. But for Forest, I think they're one of the big winners from match day 1 in terms of changing the perception and really announcing themselves onto this season. The style of football, composure, execution, everything was off the charts. A massive win to start the season off with, and maybe not having a clean sheet takes a little bit of a glean, a little bit of a glistening off of it, but all the same, one of the main winners from match day 1. I hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. On screen and now some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. If you haven't done so already, please do hit the subscribe button for more content like this, as well as transfers and all that other kind of fun stuff you'll find on the channel. Get into the comment section, let me know your thoughts and feelings and hot takeaways from the weekend, if you're a Brentford fan, a Forest fan, or anything else in between. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one.